Fantastic. I'm Jeremy McDowell. I'm one of the exercise trainers, exercise specialists here at the Weight Management Center. I'm sure I've met some of you in one form or fashion previously. If not, it's nice to meet you. Today we're going to discuss fitness wearables. I guess a quick show of hands or a quick yes. How many of you already have a fitness wearable, something that would track your steps, sleep pattern, maybe a Fitbit, a Garmin smartwatch? Awesome. Good experiences so far with those? Right. And was everyone able to pick up? I have some wearable handouts and everything floating up on here. Was everyone able to upload those okay? And if anyone needs any copies of these, just let me know. Shoot me an email before, during, or after our session, and I'll send you an email of everything we discussed today. We'll go over quite a bit, and I'll always leave the option open for questions. I'll briefly ask if anyone has any questions periodically, and if you have a question, just type it at the bottom, and I'll pick up on it as soon as I see it. I'll try to answer all those in a timely fashion, so ask away. And if you need me to slow down or stop or anything and explain a little bit more in depth, I will. A lot of this stuff you'll pick up on very easily since everyone already has a fitness tracker. So just let me know as we go through. So everyone has a Fitbit mostly. Comfortable as far as steps. We discuss a lot about the 10,000 steps for your Fitbits and even with the Garmin's. So what you're looking for when you're shopping for a fitness wearable, or what are your goals? So are we looking to monitor our steps, our heart rate, sleep, activity level, things of that nature? And does everyone, have you been aware of what a target heart rate zone is? So the easiest way to figure out your target heart rate zone for specific exercises is we typically take 220 and we subtract your age from that number, and that is your maximum heart rate. So if you have a little pencil and paper, you can write that down now, or you can keep it in mind for later. But 220 minus your age is your maximum heart rate. And generally we're exercising for cardio purposes between 30, 45 minutes, sometimes up to an hour. And what we like to generally start folks off with is, 50% of your maximum heart rate is a good place to begin exercising moving forward for 30 to 60 minutes. If you're going to do a high intensity workout like running sprints or anything like that, high intensity intervals on the treadmill, then you might want to back your heart rate off to 30 or 40% of that maximum heart rate. As we're walking in the evenings, for casual leisure activities or walking for our exercise, we can walk more of a 70%, so you can walk a little faster. You don't have to walk nearly as long if you're going to walk a little slower pace. If we're walking at 20, 25 minutes, that 70% of that heart rate is going to be a little different than if we were walking at 30 or 40%. Anyone do any high intensity interval training? Or are we aware of what high intensity interval training is? As you see on the screen, it'll say HIIT. Good experiences with those? Okay, good. Always want a good experience with exercise. And with HIIT, some folks who are unaware shy away from it. It's okay. We don't want you to really shy away from any exercise. Most importantly, we want you to be comfortable. What about any water activities? Good. If you were going to do water activities, a lot of the trackers now are waterproof. We do have some Fitbits here. The Flex 2s that are all waterproof. Most smartwatches are. If you guys are like me, even though it's waterproof, I don't put it in water very much because $250, $300 for an electronic is a little much for me to be paying more than one time. So the waterproof thing is there if you want to get in the water to monitor your calories and your steps and everything if you're doing a water aerobics class. Great idea, Robbie. Yeah, I take mine off too. Also, the fitness trackers or the wearables are good for training for an event. Lots of times we have folks that do couch to 5K training programs. It's a way to keep you accountable and track you have goals that we talk to you guys about when you come in for your evaluations, and we want you to set those up in a timely manner. But these wearables also have those goal reminders in there and tracking and everything. And you guys using the reminders in your Fitbit for meal times and in exercise times and things of that nature? You feel like you're using all the aspects and capabilities that your trackers have? Do you guys have any quick questions about how to utilize more of what we're doing with our trackers than what we're doing so far? The next time you guys are in for an exercise evaluation, we have those scheduled about every 4 weeks or so with myself or Amber. If you want to bring in your fitness trackers and everything, and we can kind of run through suggestions on what we can do to utilize it to the fullest potential. And it doesn't really matter what type it is, if it's a Fitbit, a smartwatch, a Garmin, or anything like that. We're mostly adverse to figuring out what we want to get the most out of. Of course, we want you to be able to utilize it to its fullest potential. So in the next appointment you have on an exercise, even one of your gym appointments, if we're training here at the Weight Management Center, feel free to bring those wearables in and we'll talk and discuss with you and try to get what you want out of it. That way you can utilize it. Sounds good, Robbie? All right, I'm going to start to move on. And again, if you have any questions as we move forward and discuss some of these, just, sort of put a hand or pause button up there and we'll kind of stop right there. Again, we talked about the benefits and everything. We want to measure your heart rate, mainly sleep pattern. If you guys are already using it for sleep, and we realize if we already know, it's just kind of reinforcing the fact that we don't get as much sleep as necessary. And our sleep pattern is one of those things that can play a major role as far as exercise goal reaching. If we're not sleeping as often as we would like, between 7 and 9 hours, those exercise-related activity goals that we're trying to set for ourselves might be harder to obtain because we're worn out at the end of the day. These wearables are going to be able to monitor that. It shows you biometric data, so it's going to chart everything. On Monday night, if it's a little stressful day Monday morning and we're only able to sleep for 5 or 6 hours at night, but as we get through the week and then stress level dies down at work, we're able to sleep for 8 or 9 hours. You're able to graph that and see the differences in your days. We always want you to get feedback, whether it's positive or negative feedback, because then it's going to be able to kind of reinforce your goal of getting more sleep in the long run is going to matter to you most when obtaining those goals. And if we need to adjust anything throughout the workday or exercise-related goals, then we're going to do that to try to make sure that your sleep pattern isn't as affected as much. We'll skip to number 4, the reduce sedentary behaviors. I guess if you guys are with me right now, majority of us are probably sitting in a chair. So the goal for today would be, as soon as we're done with our meeting, for all of us to get up and try to get in about 150 to 200 quick steps to kind of get that metabolism flowing back again. Those reminders on your Fitbits, especially, you can set a reminder for every 2 to 3 hours. If you're sitting down for about 2 hours, they tend to buzz at you and beep and vibrate your wrist a little bit. It'll kind of tell you to get up and walk around. It breaks the habit a little bit. We get so enthused in our work and everything. If we're sitting down for long periods of time, we don't realize at the end of the day that out of a 10-hour workday, we've set for 8 of those hours. Your Fitbit's going to allow you, or Garmin's going to allow you to set a reminder for yourself. I use a lot from my phone and my Fitbit on reminders to eat. If I'm getting a lot of work done, I use mine to help me to get up and take my steps and to go ahead and eat my snack and everything and move forward. You guys able to set your reminders okay? Or is that one of the issues that some of us may be coming across? The reminders working well? Good. And again, Robbie, I'll see you on Friday, so we'll handle that Fitbit and everything and kind of get it linked up with your phone. Habit formation, of course, like I said, developing new habits. We're all creatures of habit in our own right with various things, and if we get in the habit of working through our lunch or working through our snack, your wearables or reminders are a good way for you to break that habit. Anything that we do 12 days in a row is considered to be habit forming. So if you can set your Fitbit and you get through 6 days and 7 days and 8, 9, 10, all the way through, you're going to form a habit after about 12 days. And that's about anything we do in life. So if your Fitbit is reminding you every day to get up and take new steps, when the 2 to 3 months before we weren't doing that, you kind of driven a new habit formation into your personal life and your work life. So it's always good to kind of change it up a little bit, and referring to exercise, change is always good. We get too caught up in the world and looking at making sure we have our plan in place. We don't like change too well. Exercise is the one area and the aspect that we want a lot of change to go on, because your body will get confused. It's going to be a good thing in the long run to let your body be confused with exercise. Again, the goal reinforcement. Is everybody aware of the SMART phrase that we use? We talk about specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely as far as setting our goals. The most important is specific. As you can see, we talk about getting in shape versus walking 3 days a week. Well, getting in shape is a very broad thing, and of course we want that for everyone, but more specific goals, so then you understand when you're setting up your wearable and how that's going to obtain to getting to your goal or pertain to getting to your goal. We want everything to be centered around those goals. That's why often when you come in for your evaluations, we ask you guys what your goals are. We want to make sure that we're setting a goal and we're working towards that specific goal, instead of setting goal 1 and working towards the second and third thing on the sheet. Like, we just want to make sure that you're heading in the right direction and we don't get too far off track. And that way, like I said, reminders: stand up, eat, drink, take a walk. Those goals, I want to be able to walk 3 days a week at the park. If you're setting a reminder every day at 5 o'clock when you get off to go to the park and walk, there's your reminder there. It's going to help keep you accountable. Always measurable. Most of our Fitbits and everything and the wearables that we have, again, relating back to those charts, that's how you're going to measure how much you've walked over the course of a week. Are your goals attainable? Are you going to be able to walk 3 days a week after work? If we don't think that 3 days a week is attainable or realistic, then let's slide it back to 2. Timely. Set a goal a month. In a month's time, I want to be able to have 3 out of 4 weeks where I've walked 3 days per week. Okay? Your motivation. We all have certain motivating factors. That's why we're here, on what we want to do. Your motivation to become more physically active. If we have children or grandchildren and we just want to do more with them at home, be able to go places, to the park, take a hike, go out and have a picnic, a family day, things of that nature. Those are motivation factors that result in getting more steps and being more active, getting up from our work desk. Getting up and walking around at work might not seem like a big deal for playing with our kids or grandkids in the evening, but getting up during the day, you're not going to be as tired when you get home because you're moving throughout the day more. So it may seem like you'll have less energy, but you'll have the want and need. Once your body feels that exercise, it's going to crave the exercise a little bit more. The why, of course, the immediate positive experience. Your experience will strongly influence whether we do it again. Just what I was speaking about. If you enjoy the exercise or we don't, once your body feels the need and it likes to do something, it's going to want to do more of that. The do. a lifestyle change. Focus on learning instead of achieving. So you have I will be active every day versus I will learn the process of fitting in consistent physical activity. Intrinsic versus extrinsic. You can use it as a convenient reminder to stay active. Social motivation. We do a lot of step challenges here at work, group weekly challenges and everything. Are you guys part of any groups with your Fitbit as far as steps for the week, like a daily or weekly challenge, a monthly challenge? Those are some of the ways to stay socially motivated. You may not think so, but everyone is slightly competitive, and it's not a bad thing to be competitive. Overly competitive, I'm sure, but being competitive kind of drives out and it keeps you reaching for those goals, and it allows you to set new goals. And it's also accountability. If you guys have someone that you want to step challenge where the goal is, let's 10,000 steps a day. All right, well, if we're at 7 or 8 now, what that 10,000 does would just mean in the evenings, if you're working with someone you're in a challenge with and you guys are able to meet up and go for that walk for 15 or 20 minutes to get those extra 2,000 steps in per day. So that's the social motivation factor, is a step challenge. A lot of those things that we can talk to you about and how to get in those groups, once we set up the Fitbit app on your phone and everything, or the computer, we'll kind of review how you're able to get in there and set up these groups. And anyone can start a group, and you can invite anyone as long as you know their email or their contact information, and they'll accept. And if you guys want to be a step challenge with any one of us on the fitness staff, when you come in, please, if there's a challenge or you want to set a challenge with us on certain days, we're all for step challenges to try to get you guys to reach your step goals for the week and your exercise related goals. We're here to motivate you and push behind you and get those steps. How many hours a day you guys feel is the average sedentary time, as far as out of 24 hours on the average American, how much time do you think we sit throughout a 24-hour period? We'll say if everyone sleeps, which would be ideal for everyone to sleep 8 hours, Robbie, we'll take that 8 away. So we'll say out of the 16 awake hours, how many do you guys think we're sitting, whether it's at work, at home watching television, in the car ride to and from work? Yeah, you guys are pretty good. And as you can see, we spend about 2 hours of TV per day. Can add up to 1.5 years of your life. In the 5,000 steps, you guys will always hear us talk about, you guys will hear us talk about the 10,000 steps a day. It is very hard unless we're on an active lifestyle job where our active job is nursing, doctor, like when you're on your feet, you're working in a warehouse, at a bank or something where you're constantly moving back and forth to get 10,000 steps. I myself know that here, I don't get 10,000 steps at work alone. I have to do extra work after work, extra workouts after work, whether it's walking or running, being more active with the kids to get my 10,000 a day. A sedentary lifestyle is 5,000 steps or less a day. The average American gets between 3,000 and 5,000 steps per day, with more folks getting 2,000 than getting 10,000 steps a day. So the more we are up moving, the faster that metabolism runs, these numbers will eventually fall, and that is our goal, and you guys are part of reaching that goal overall. The more you're able to move, so these statistics drop. So if we're at 5,000 steps now, the next goal you could set yourself for the next week or two was to get to 6,000 steps. I'm not asking you to go from 5,000 to 10,000. We're just looking at 5,000 to maybe 6,000 or 6,500. The closer we get to 7,000, 7,500, that's more of an average number. 7,500 is a lot more attainable than 10,000 for various reasons. When we get to that marker, we're starting to trend towards getting more steps throughout the day than getting less steps and being more sedentary than we want to be. So set a step goal each week, those challenges, motivating, and then kind of push forward and just increase your steps slowly. 5 extra minutes of walking every day is about 400, 500 more steps depending on stride length. You guys have any questions so far? We rolling on along. Talk about some ideas to reduce sedentary behaviors. Does anyone have, like at work, you guys have a standing desk or a desk that goes up and down? Good call, Robbie. Great, Roseanne. We just got here. We took a little bit of convincing for the last couple of years, but we got the standing seated desks, the ones that go up and down. They level from about 2 feet to 4 feet, which is pretty awesome, and it's a way for us to practice what we preach. We are always asking you guys to increase your steps, being up, getting up, not being as sedentary, get up, doing more movement. And this allows us to do those things that we're asking you to do. But if you guys can put in a request for a desk, it's pretty cool, I must say. Got a little button over here, just kind of goes up and down. I'm sure they'll get on to me sooner or later for pressing the button too many times and wearing out the battery. But those of you that met me know that I kind of enjoy the electronics a little too much. But it's a way for you to not be as sedentary. You're required to sit a lot, and just a simple reminder to get up and take a break, even if it's for 90 seconds a day, you're doing more than we were sitting for 10 hours a day. The phone calls. When we're on a conference call, we have our speakerphone. Put it on speakerphone and just kind of walk around the room. You don't have to run or pace too far back and forth. That way you can actually get the words out that we're talking on the phone, but walk back and forth, constantly moving. If you know you're going to be on a conference call for 30 minutes to an hour, go ahead and walk around a little bit. If the person can't see you, they don't know that you're pacing that fast. And I'm pretty sure that they're on the other end doing the same thing. Always use the stairs instead of the elevator if we can. If there's no physical limitations that are preventing us from using the stairs, go ahead and try to use those. If you guys work in a building with multiple flights of stairs, 12 or more floors, then yes, reaching those 12 floors, if we haven't done it yet, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge to begin with. But take 2 or 3 flights up the stairs before we get on the elevator. Same thing going down. Try to do what you can and always build and increase as we go. So those steps are getting added in there. If we're 3 floors up and we take the elevator every time, well, we're losing about 150 to 200 steps throughout the day. And if you're doing that multiple times a day, that could add up significantly to your step count by taking the elevator instead of the stairs. Good idea. Always, yes. Robert said keeping dumbbells and everything under the desk for conference calls. If you have those, you can do dumbbells, the resistance band training and things like that. So setting reminders for, if you're in a conference call midway through, just a little slight buzz on your wrist, do some dumbbells for a conference call, your bands, the foot pedaler under there, even a slight marching in place. As we're sitting here on the video chat, I'm moving my feet up and down just to kind of, get a little bit of metabolism flow through my legs, let the blood kind of reach my toes so they don't fall asleep. At home, making a family event like a walk after dinner. My son likes to go out and shoot basketball almost every day after dinner, which is fantastic. There are some days that I don't want to, but then I'm not setting a good example for him, and I'm not going to be able to get my steps in for the day either. When you go into the store to get the weekly set of groceries, walk in and walk around the whole external layer of the store before you go down the middle aisles. So walk a lap around and then start your grocery shopping. Exercise during commercial breaks if we're at home watching television for an hour in the evening. Every time a commercial comes on, just get up and do marching in place, a slight jumping jack, arm circles, dumbbell curls, something small just to kind of get up and move so we're not sitting as long. When you park a little further away. It's always easy for us to pick the closest spot possible. But again, if you have your goals set and you want those to be attainable and realistic, we're going to start choosing to park a little further away. The limitations might draw us back a little bit, but park as far away as you feel comfortable walking. It's a quick graph and everything. As you guys can see, the steps and calories and floors. and you'll look, as we take more steps throughout the day, we burn more calories, and the flights of stairs are going up and down. You're going to always increase those. You're changing elevation, you'll burn a little bit more calories. Those of you that have done squats know that when you do squats, you feel your heart is about to come through your chest, your legs are burning, your heart rate gets up a lot higher. It's the change in level or change in elevation, a small change in elevation for you. It's going to raise that heart rate up, which in turn burns a little bit more calories. And all of these things are shown in your Fitbit or your Garmin, smartwatch graphs and everything. So when you guys have those questions, when I see you again, we can go over all those so you understand looking at the graphs. They're all very basic graphs, but I want you to understand what each of those mean for you and your goals. Anyone have any questions on the graphs? Good. Stride length. A lot of times we get asked, you know, how large is my stride length? As you guys remember when we did your gait walking speed when you first came in, we look for stride, and that way when we get you on the treadmill, I can gauge, and others on my staff can kind of gauge if the stride length that you presented to us in the hallway is accurate. We look at, you know, you take a quarter mile, that's 15,840 inches. At the end of the day, you're getting 10,000 steps. You're going to take that number and divide it by 15,840. That's your stride length in inches. Roughly everyone that's on right now and even going throughout the day, we have an average stride length that we kind of near. Those that are above 6'2", 6'4", maybe, you have a little bit larger stride length, and those that are 5'2", 5 foot, or even under 5 foot have a little bit shorter stride length. But those of us between 5'2" and say 5'10" have roughly the same average stride length, maybe a number or two off. But that's how we gauge your stride length, and that can dictate how many steps you're going to get. You want to be able to tell your Fitbit your stride length so it's accurately calculating how many steps you're getting a day. If your Fitbit thinks you're 6'6" and you're 5'4", then you're not going to be getting credit for quite as many, because someone who's 6'6" will eventually take less amount of steps throughout the day based on their stride length than someone who's 5'4". You guys can kind of see it right there on the Fitbit. Just go to Account, Advanced Settings, and change your stride length in there. So if we haven't already done that, that'd be something you guys can do before the end of today or even tomorrow so we don't forget. Five things you may not know. Daily activity metrics versus exercise metrics. Reminder, daily activity is general walking. Throughout the day, we walk for work. Even if we're sitting down, we're still up moving, walking at the grocery store. We're not calculating that as exercise, as though at the end of your work day, you've walked 10,000 steps, but you're still going to go run or walk or elliptical for 30 minutes after work. Those are the difference. Both are activities, but one is exercise metrics, and that means that once your heart rate gets up above your resting heart rate, which is generally between 55 and higher than 75 resting heart rate for most of you. Once your heart rate creeps above 100, 110, your Fitbit will realize that it's in exercise mode. So it's going to start tracking the exercise metrics as opposed to just your daily activity metrics. It'll realize once it gets your heart rate that you're working a little harder than you were just sitting. Our trackers have a Fitbit app. Most of you guys were having Fitbits. Garmin has one, and our smartwatches are linked right up to our phone. Map My Walk or Map My Run are really good third-party apps that we can download. I use both of those. If you have a route that you walk every day for work, after work, or in the morning, you can map out the distance. You can drive in your car and it'll tell you the distance, but you can map out from your laptop, desktop, or phone the distance that you're walking and give it the route, and it's going to tell you, the incline, elevation, and things of that nature, so you know exactly how far you're walking. So when you track your exercise for the day or the week, you'll know the distance that you've tracked. MyFitnessPal, I'm sure most of you guys and ladies are using MyFitnessPal to track your nutrition and exercise. Are we comfortable with MyFitnessPal? Do you guys have any questions about that? About how to track your exercise? Good. I'm usually fairly good with most of the trackers. The one thing I sometimes have a difficult time with myself is getting my Fitbit and my MyFitnessPal to link. Someone has told me that there is a way to do that. I am fitness savvy, but like I said, sometimes there's just something I can't figure out with that. So if you guys have questions about that, we'll come in and we'll figure it out together. And your initial setup with your Fitbits or trackers are very simple. And of course, you can go back in and customize those after. Again, the money saving options. MyFitnessPal is a free app on your phone. Fitbit's free to be linked. Those of you that have a smartwatch, whether it's Apple or Samsung, easy setup. You go to account, set up your device, and choose mobile track. It's on our phone, and most smartphones with the upgraded technology and the software, if the software update is new and up to date, then it'll track as long as your phone is in your pocket when you're doing these things. Sometimes our jobs won't allow us to have those, so it wouldn't be an accurate representation of how many steps you got unless your job would allow you to just keep it in your pocket. Phone doesn't have to be on sound or anything like that. You can have it on vibrate to kind of get, when you want to set your markers for the day, your 10,000 steps, it'll vibrate in your pocket, quick look and see where we're at for the day, then we'll move on from there. But your phone doesn't have to be out visible for everyone to see to track your steps for the day. So that's a way to save money as far as fitness wearables. We don't have to purchase a Fitbit or a smartwatch. You can use your smartphone. As you guys see here, we have a list. These are just a few of the ones that my teammates and I were able to find. And if you see the wearable that you have, fantastic. If you have one that's not on here, when you come in, please let me know so I can add it to our list. A lot of these are common names, of course, Fitbit, Apple Watch, Samsung Gear, Garmin. Jawbone is a little thinner version of a Fitbit. A little bit more high-tech are the smart footwear. Not sure if you guys have seen these crossing paths when we're going into some of our local phone distribution companies. They'll try to sell you on all these different types of add-ons. I'm not sure how I would feel personally about spending more on a pair of shoes just for the smart footwear, but if you guys have certain goals in mind, and it's always an option depending on your training level. If we're looking to track more in depth, then that wouldn't be a bad idea to look into a little bit further. Bluetooth headphones, of course, to use your Fitbit and to sync everything up at the end of the day, we need Bluetooth. Prices will vary on these. We were looking online and they can vary between $50 and $350 for a pair of these headphones. And by no means am I telling anyone to go out and pay $250 for a pair of headphones, but if it's something you want to look into, we can always look into it together, and I would try to give you the best professional exercise advice that I can before kind of leading you down that path. Again, like if you guys are like me and watch late night infomercials on the weekend, you'll see some of these items, the smart clothing, whether it's leggings, socks, shirts, or bras. With concussions being prevalent in the NFL, a lot of NFL players are wearing what looks to be like a Bluetooth talking headset around their neck. If you guys watch the Panthers, then Luke Kuechly is one of those I can use as a quick example. He's wearing that, and it's a fitness wearable, but it's a different kind of fitness. It's for health, as far as prolonging his life to see the impact concussions may have. You'll see a lot of things like that on some of these players. Whether it's basketball, football, they're wearing a lot more wearables to kind of generate data for us to in turn turn that into research and everything data, but try to get better products out here. Anyone want a drone to follow you while you run? We have those options as well. I'm not sure how you guys feel about that, but I don't know if I want someone following me that closely behind. But there's a lot of options as far as wearables out there. Yeah, it is kind of creepy. There are a lot of options out there, and if you guys have saw things and you want more information, like I said, when we see you again, we'll discuss everything like that. If you guys aren't aware, quick info, Jesse threw this in here for the personal training packages. We use our exercise evaluations, and that's what I'm going to talk to you guys more about. It's the free version, and we do have open gym now. Monday, Thursday, and Wednesday. Our Monday or Tuesday and Friday were put on hold a little bit for staffing issues, but we do have our open gym and everything. So I would like for you guys to be able to come in, and if we use that time to talk about the things that we've discussed today. If you have questions about the fitness wearables or any of the sessions that we've done in the past, feel free to come in and talk with us about those. Hopefully you guys were able to use your personal training sessions and get a good idea of your steps and where you're at right now, and talk with your personal trainer, whether it's here off site at one of the other locations, about what you're doing moving forward, so you're always kept in touch with your goals. The Thursday's still there. The Monday and Thursday, the 4:30 to 5:30, of course, being our two most popular times, are still there, and our Wednesday 7 to 8 a.m. Our Tuesday morning and our Friday afternoons were just put on hold for staffing at the moment. I'm in the process of developing a full-out open gym and group exercise class. So those of you that may have listed your goals, and we were talking about those a little earlier, as walking a 5K or being able to increase your steps, we're going to have classes implemented at the beginning of the year. January the 8th, I think, is the first Monday in January. We're going to roll out a completely new group exercise program that'll be class specific. It won't all be generated towards the higher intensity models or just the yoga models. We'll have a walking group only. We'll have class specific things going on. So we're trying to help every one of you guys reach your goals, because they're more goal specific to you instead of just being goal oriented for everyone in the program. 100 people aren't going to have all the same goal. We're looking at 100 people, and there's going to be 10 folks with 10 different goals, and that's what we want to highlight. So this was just something we kind of placed in there for you guys to know that outside of these groups, we have other opportunities for you to come in and chat with us about any of the ideas and goals that you want to set for yourself. Our new open gym schedule that started yesterday. Again, those are the times I just listed, and that's just through the end of the year. January, we've got to full staff and everything, and we'll be able to roll these out in a new timely manner. Do you guys have any questions about anything that we discussed so far? Yes, sir. I have these slides available. I'm working with Dr. Josh behind the scenes to get this out to you guys, and I see you on Friday, correct? So I have a few copies that are sitting right here in front of me. So if I'm not able to kind of slide it out to you today, then I'll get it to you on Friday. Sounds good. Do you guys have any other questions about the fitness wearables? Our Fitbits sometimes can draw us some challenging dilemmas and everything. We just want to make sure you guys are comfortable using those. You do have your polar watches and things like that. Anything that you have with a chest strap that would come around is going to be the most accurate as far as gauging your heart rate. And simply being that it's the closest thing. Our watches are right there on our wrist, engaging the heart rate from there. But if you're able to get something close to your heart, obviously it's going to have the most accurate read for you. So if you have a Polar chest strap or a Garmin chest strap, and you have that on and you're walking on the treadmill or using the elliptical at the gym, and you see your heart rate pop up, that is your actual heart rate. A lot of times we're walking and it'll give you a number, but if you didn't tell it any information, height, weight, age, if you're male or female, any of those things, then the accuracy of the heart rate isn't going to be what you want it to be. Having that chest strap, and when you put those on, it's already pre-set up and knowing that your height, weight, age, and things of that nature, and you're going to be able to walk, and it's going to know how far it's going to know the speed of the treadmill, and it's going to know how your heart rate is, so when it pops up, that's accurate. A lot of times the treadmills, like I said before, they're not going to tell you accuracy if they don't know anything about you. If we all walk on a treadmill side by side and we're walking at the same speed, our heart rates are going to be varying, but they're going to be within 5 or 10 based on our grip. As we perspire, that grip and the heart rate monitor on the grip, the treadmill is not going to be as accurate because it's wet and it has dew or any kind of bacteria that's already lined into there. So if you have a chest strap that came with any of your wearables, then go ahead and use that when you walk. And if you don't, I'm not advising you to go out and buy one. We're looking mainly for steps. If you want to track your heart rate, then we'll discuss other things like that in our one-on-ones. And anytime you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm here. Sorry. But anytime you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out through my Wake Health through email. And always when you're in the building, feel free to stop by the gym. You guys have any more questions before I let you go? Always. And like I said, I hope to see you guys in the open gym. We're still working on some of the times. They're set in stone right now, and these times will probably always be there. But if you have any suggestions about anything you'd like to see as far as class offerings, any times to be added, we'll do our best to accommodate. Just let me know. And it was a fantastic time meeting some of you, and I'm sure I'll see some of you in the near future. You guys have a great rest of your Tuesday and enjoy the rest of the evening, Halloween.